Hello, Adam. How are you? I met you after a long time. Where have you been for so long?
Hello, Ninda. How are you? You know I was in New York City for 2 years due to work.
I know you are the person who has already mastered English and often shares tips and tricks on how to learn the language. I've been working on improving my English for a while now, but I feel like I've hit a plateau. I'm doing grammar exercises, reading articles, and practicing speaking, but it feels like I'm stuck at an intermediate level. What else can I do?
I totally get that. A lot of people feel that way when they reach a certain level. Have you ever considered watching TV shows or movies in English?
Yeah, I've tried it before, but I usually just end up reading the subtitles in my own language. I don't feel like I'm learning much from it. I mean, how can TV shows and movies really help improve my English?
That's a good question. But honestly, they can help a lot if you use the right approach. Watching TV shows and movies is a natural way to expose yourself to everyday English, like the way people really speak. Plus, it's fun and doesn't feel like hard work. Let's break down how it can help and the best ways to do it.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but how is it better than studying grammar or vocabulary with books? I feel like books are more structured.
Books and traditional studying are definitely important, but they can only get you so far. Think about it. When you read a grammar rule, you're learning it in a theoretical way. But when you watch a TV show or movie, you see that grammar in action. You see how native speakers use it in context, which makes it easier to understand and remember. Plus, you hear accents, intonation, and slang that you don't get from books.
That makes sense. So where do I start? Should I just pick any TV show or movie, or are there specific ones that are better for learning?
That's a great question. Choosing the right content is important. If you're a beginner or intermediate learner, it's best to start with shows or movies that are not too complicated. Sitcoms like Friends or The Big Bang Theory are excellent because they feature everyday conversations in different social situations. The language is casual and the episodes are short, so it's not too overwhelming. Animated films like Toy Story or Finding Nemo are also good because they tend to use simple language and the visuals help you understand what's happening.
I love Friends, but I always feel like they speak so fast. It's hard to catch everything they say. How do I get the most out of watching it?
Yeah, they do speak quickly sometimes, especially when they joke around. But here's a trick. Watch with English subtitles instead of subtitles in your native language. That way, you're still reinforcing the English you're hearing with the text. You'll be surprised at how much more you understand. The idea is to train your ear to the sounds of the language. You could even pause and rewind if you miss something important.
So you're saying I should still use subtitles, but in English?
Exactly. The subtitles will help you match what you hear to what you read, and this is great for improving your listening skills. Over time, you can try watching without subtitles to challenge yourself even more. You'll notice how much your understanding improves.
That's cool. But what about vocabulary? Do you think watching TV shows can really help me learn new words?
Absolutely. TV shows and movies introduce you to a wide range of vocabulary that you wouldn't come across in a textbook. You'll learn idiomatic expressions, phrasal verbs, and slang that native speakers use in everyday life. For example, in Friends, you'll hear phrases like, "I'm beat," meaning I'm tired, or "how you doin'," which is a casual way of greeting someone. These are things you might not find in formal English lessons.
I've always wanted to sound more natural when I speak English. So, should I write down the new words and phrases I hear?
That's a great idea. Keeping a vocabulary journal can be really helpful. When you come across a new word or phrase, write it down, along with the sentence it was used in. This will help you remember the context, which makes it easier to recall the word later. You can also review your notes regularly to reinforce what you've learned.
That sounds doable. But what if I don't understand the context of the word? Sometimes I hear new phrases, but I'm not sure what they mean.
If you're unsure of the meaning, you can always pause and look it up. But try not to stop too often or it'll interrupt the flow of the show or movie. Sometimes you can figure out the meaning from the context, even if you don't understand every word. The key is not to get frustrated. The more you watch, the more you'll start picking up on patterns in the language, and it will get easier.
Okay, that's reassuring. But what about pronunciation? I know watching shows helps me with listening, but how can I improve my speaking?
Good question. One technique is called shadowing. Have you heard of it?
No, what's that?
It's when you repeat what the characters are saying right after they say it. You can either pause after each line or just follow along as best as you can. It helps you practice the rhythm, intonation, and pronunciation of English. This is especially useful with shows where the characters have clear pronunciation, like in The Crown or Downton Abbey, if you're into British English. It's like having a conversation with native speakers, but without the pressure.
That sounds interesting. So I just mimic them as they speak.
Exactly. It helps you get a feel for how English sounds naturally, and it's a great way to practice speaking without needing a language partner. Over time, your mouth will get used to forming the sounds of English, and your pronunciation will improve.
That's something I'd love to try. I get nervous speaking with native speakers because I feel like my accent is too strong.
Don't worry about your accent. Everyone has one, and the goal isn't to get rid of it. The goal is to be clear and understandable. Watching TV shows can help you get used to the way English sounds, which will make it easier for you to imitate native-like speech patterns. But remember, it's okay to have your own accent as long as you're communicating effectively.
That's comforting to hear. What if I want to focus on specific accents like British or American? Are there particular shows for that?
Definitely. If you're more interested in British English, you could watch shows like Sherlock, The Crown, or Peaky Blinders. They give you exposure to different British accents. For American English, shows like Friends, Breaking Bad, or Modern Family are great choices. Each region in the US has its own slight variations in pronunciation, so you'll hear different accents depending on the show. Watching a variety of shows can help you get used to these differences.
That's really helpful. I never thought about the different accents before. What about movies? Are they as effective as TV shows for learning?
Yes, movies can be just as effective, but they have a slightly different feel. With movies, you get the complete story in one sitting, so you get less repetition compared to TV shows where characters and situations recur. But the advantage of movies is that you can dive deep into specific themes or settings, which can expose you to a rich vocabulary around particular topics. For example, if you watch a legal drama like The Lincoln Lawyer, you'll learn a lot of legal terms.
That's a good point. And I guess movies often have a higher quality of production, so the audio might be clearer too.
Exactly. Plus, with movies, you often hear more formal language depending on the genre. Historical dramas or documentaries, for instance, have different vocabulary compared to a romantic comedy. So, it really depends on what you're interested in.
I like the idea of mixing both TV shows and movies. It keeps things interesting. But what if I only have time to watch short clips?
That's totally fine. Short clips can be just as useful. YouTube is a great resource for finding clips from shows and movies. You can even watch interviews with actors, TED Talks, or educational content. The key is consistency. Even if you only watch a 5-minute clip every day, you'll still be improving your listening skills, expanding your vocabulary, and getting used to the rhythm of the language.
Okay, that sounds manageable. I can definitely fit in a few clips throughout my day.
Exactly. The more exposure you have to English, the better. And don't forget, it's also important to have fun with it. If you enjoy what you're watching, you'll stay motivated and keep coming back for more. It's all about making language learning enjoyable and less of a chore.
That's true. It's easy to get bored with textbooks. Watching TV shows and movies seems like a great way to mix things up and stay engaged.
It is. And one more tip. Try watching the same episode or movie more than once. The first time, you'll catch the general idea, but on the second or third watch, you'll pick up on the details, like specific vocabulary or nuances in pronunciation. Repetition is key.
I never thought of that, but it makes sense. Each time, I'd probably notice something new.
Exactly. Plus, it's a good way to reinforce what you've already learned. The more you hear certain phrases or grammatical structures, the more they'll stick in your mind.
I feel like I've learned so much just from this conversation. I'm excited to start using TV shows and movies as part of my learning routine. Thank you, Adam.
You're welcome. Just remember to have fun with it, and don't stress if you don't understand everything at first. The more you immerse yourself in the language, the more progress you'll make. You've got this.
Thanks for the encouragement. I'll let you know how it goes. I hope you like this conversation. Please subscribe and share this video with your friends and family. Take care.